All right, live here with my friend Chris from Saskatchewan, Canada. How you doing, Chris?
I am pleasant.
I like
I'm
that.
doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm good. You and I were just chatting before the call, and I'm excited for everything that you got going on up in Saskatchewan. I'm going to guess that probably 99% of the people watching this and that will watch it have never been there unless they live there. So it'll be fun to chat about, what does that market look like? How are you able to build? Because it is a smaller market. And I know there's a lot of agents in Game Changers Nation who are in smaller markets and maybe feel the challenges of it and don't know how to navigate it. And you've been doing a great job growing there and getting some great leaders that are partnering with you. And you guys are doing really well there, and it's starting to grow, and it's fun to see. So I'm looking forward to diving into that. But first, let's just talk about real briefly your real estate background. How long have you been an agent for, and what does your current business look like?
Yeah, 100%. So my real estate story, my eXp story are somewhat separate, but I will say that it's not like quick success story or somebody that all of a sudden exploded in real estate. It's really, I would say, a story that might be refreshing to some people, which is I call it hashtag no excuses, or the never give up story, or if I can do it, you can do it type of a story. So I'll try to keep it as brief as I possibly can. So I moved away from my hometown in BC as a 19, 20-year-old kid and literally started from scratch with zero employable skills. And I was knocking on doors looking for a place to work, knocking on doors looking for a place to live, not knowing at that time that that was the beginning of my sales career. But I ended up I'm the black sheep of the family. I have four siblings, and I'm the one non-mechanically inclined of the bunch. And I never wanted to learn how to use tools, but I was the first to get into the trades, first to get my trades ticket, and the first to get out of the trades. So I met a girl in that process, and I told her I didn't want to be doing this forever, but she encouraged me to get my trades ticket. So I did that, and then I got into real estate. So she actually introduced me to personal development. She said, I'm trying to upsell this girl who's got her life together, and I'm a young kid, and she's 5 years older than me. And so she called my bluff, took me to the bookstore, and I bought the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then I've been reading on average probably a book a week ever since then, and it was a total game changer for me in my life. But I got into real estate, and personal development is a key part of my journey because I say that self-awareness is important. And what I mean by this is my talents are courage, persistence, ambition, and teachability. Now you're going to hear this and say, well, those are great traits, Chris. That is amazing. That's excellent. But you can't exactly put that on a resume. And what that means in short form is that I have the ability to run 100 miles an hour through 50 brick walls in a row, to do whatever is required and necessary to get to where I want to go. But the beautiful part of this, and the gift that comes along with that, is that once I finally learn something, I know it well enough to teach it to literally anybody that's willing to listen and willing to learn. So that's part of why I volunteered to help share what's working for me in agent attraction locally and outside of my market as well. So I took the Dale Carnegie public speaking course once, and then I went back to volunteer probably 12 different times, just so that I could learn how to develop communication skills well enough to sell to the public. The beautiful part of that process is that I didn't know anybody in my market. So I literally started from scratch. And in that process, I also developed a network of people that I could work with. But I built my business on for sale by owners. And to give you an idea of my sales skills development, it took me 1.5 years of calling every single for sale by owner in my market multiple times until I finally learned how to list and sell for sale by owners. But after a year and a half of doing that, the following 12 months, I did 55 transactions on my own, 75% of which were for sale by owners. So I became the for sale by owner guru in my market, so to speak. And so that's the platform of my sales business. I took the Mike Ferry sales system. I took it for probably 4 years. And between that, Dale Carnegie, and then I met AJ at a Brendan Burchard mastermind. So those are kind of the 3 pillars to my personal development journey. And I've realized that with the Mike Ferry sales system, that you could develop a high production sales business as a solo agent. But if you wanted to then become a production team, if you wanted to increase from there, there's 2 things you need to do. Number 1, get a significant amount of overhead. And because I married a farmer's daughter, we were very conservative and not willing to take on that much additional risk. And then also either that or spend, instead of 50, 60 hours a week, spend 70, 80 plus hours a week, which I also wasn't willing to do. There was times where I had to put in that type of hours, and every time it put my marriage in jeopardy. So I wasn't willing to do that. So I finally met AJ through Brendan Burchard, who I highly recommend you follow. Brendan, he's an amazing personal development leader. And I found out about eXp. Now, this was in 2017, back when AJ was making a lousy $8,000 a month with 80 realtors on his team. And I was inspired. As soon as I heard about eXp, I wanted to join. But my story is one that I had to watch from the sidelines as AJ developed freedom and did amazing things in this company, waiting desperately for it to finally come to my market. And so in somewhere in the middle of 2019, it finally came to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, that you've probably never heard of. And I was the first agent in my market to join. And I've helped launch the province, and I've developed a strong foundation for our brand here locally. And I will say that when you're first to market, it's great because you're first to market, you're the first to introduce it to people, but there are also hurdles and challenges with that. Especially in a small market, there's politics involved. But I will say this, that no matter what market you're in, or no matter where you're at with your journey and agent attraction, whether you're brand new or whether you've been in the company for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're just looking to get up and off the ground and onto your feet, rolling with this, I believe that I've found what works for literally anybody, the quickest, easiest, smoothest way to get in and get plugged in with this system. So I hope that sort of gives you an overview as to what I'm all about, but that's a really brief of my real estate story, I guess you
Awesome.
could say.
I love it. Well, I know everybody's here to dive into, what's working for you and in your market. And you just said it can work for anyone, anywhere. But real quick, just to get some clarity on your story, just because I'm selfishly interested, is the girl who brought you to the bookstore to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or to where you bought Rich Dad Poor Dad, is that now your wife?
Yeah. So the long story short is, it's one girl that brought me here to 2 provinces over, which is a 10.5-hour drive away from my hometown. And it's a different girl that keeps me here today. So
Okay.
People ask me, why did you move from the mountains to the flatlands, middle of nowhere? And I don't want to say Saskatchewan women, because that doesn't sound right, but I definitely found the love of my life, and we now have a perfect little boy. And they are definitely my why in this business model. So it's a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw the picture of your running shoes next to your son's little shoes today as your why. I thought that was really special, and I can certainly relate now, being a father as well. So good stuff,
Yeah.
man. And you're still selling tons of homes. How many are you averaging a year at this point?
Yeah. So here's the really cool thing. I really wanted to, when I first started, I put 6 months of heavy effort into agent attraction. COVID happened, the market dropped, it was panic time. And I said, okay, well, I need to make sure that I'm not over investing my time into agent attraction. And I actually put it on pause for 6 months, regretfully now, so that I made sure to hit icon, because I had a short period of time to do that. And then I've launched it again for a following 6 months. And in that period, I've developed a system that I believe now works. but I've always done 40 to 60 transactions a year. Last year I did 60 transactions, and this year I'm on pace to do more than that. But the beautiful part of it is now is that I never intended on building a production style team. And as much as eXp is a game changer, it's life changing. It's really the people on my team as a result of the business model that have trusted me, that have decided to join my team, that have really been what has been life changing for me at eXp. And I'm proud to say now that I'm in a position where I literally do not show a house. I will do anything and everything I possibly can not to show property, because I want to invest that time into agent attraction. And it really benefits my teammates as well, because you're sharing more with them. And the truth of it is the transactions just keep coming. It's like, all I want to do is build and grow the team, but like the transactions just keep flowing. I don't know if it's as a result of the excitement or the social media effort or whatever it is, but just kind of rolling with it. I have no desire to sell 150 homes a year. I'd much rather have 150 agents. But that's that.
I'm with you on that one. It's like in real estate, and everyone listening to this is getting the idea of residual income and what it can do for your life. But in real estate, it's like, to make more money, you got to give more of your time away. Typically, it's like to sell 150 homes versus 75. To me, it's like, oh man, that's like more stress, more overhead, more headache. But when I hear 150 agents, I'm like, that's $10,000, $12,000 a month in residual income. I like that, or $15,000 a month residual income. So cool. So let's jump over to that. So how many agents are in your market total? And then how many agents are in your group at this point?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that in two ways, actually. So in my local market, there's somewhere close to 550 realtors total. Okay, in my market, which it's kind of like it's a big, small town. Everybody knows everybody, or at least everybody that they know everybody. So that's a benefit and a challenge. And then in the entire province, for those of you that aren't familiar with Canada, Saskatchewan is the center of Canada, north of North Dakota-ish. And we are a province is twice the size of Texas, and our total population is 1 million people. Our total agent population is like 1,500 realtors. So, we expanded outside of our local city to go across the province, and now we're into the neighboring province. And then I've also sponsored a team in the east coast of Canada as well. But I've got 5 personal sponsorships and 26 total on the team now. But what ends up happening, because we're in such a small market, is that half of my attraction efforts locally turn into what I now call bird dogging, which is kind of like, hey, I know XYZ realtor that's already on my team. And then instead of doing a 3-way call with AJ, I'll do a 3-way call with a downline partner of mine to help sort of reel that agent in. So instead of it being prospecting that's geared towards me personally sponsoring that agent, it then turns into me bird dogging it for somebody else on my team, which is, again, it's a win-win. It's a winning culture. But we've got agents in our market. So there's, I would say, the top 2 producing agents on my team right now for the last few months now. One of them is in a market where there's 20 realtors in that market, and there's 5,000 people in that market. So super small town. And then she's the agent in that town. And then we've got another realtor who's in a similar market where she's got somewhere close to 50% market share for that market. So the couple things you deal with is the limited thinking of how does eXp work in my market, because there's only so many agents. It's that finite sort of mentality. But it totally blows the lid off, because I can talk to agents anywhere. I've sponsored an agent in Chicago, like I said, across Canada. Where else can you do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, through eXp, you're able to take your small town and really make it the world through revenue share. And that's what's really exciting about it. Like when I talk to agents who are like, I don't know if this is going to work with me because I'm in a small town US, small town Canada, whatever. It's like, this is your opportunity because you're in a small town. It's like you're ultimately somewhat capped in a small town in terms of overall opportunity. You're selling enough homes there locally where you could do that for the next 20 years and become very wealthy. but I know you want freedom now. But it's like to be able to, I mean, you have a team, they're in Toronto, right?
The team that I have on the east coast of Canada is in Halifax.
Halifax.
Yeah, so that's like far east, farther east than anything. It's east.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little more east than Toronto. And then you got some in Chicago. So that's pretty cool. So you have a smaller organization, but it's growing. And what's cool, what I think people can take away there in small towns is it becomes also, it's like you're not just building your front line, you're someone in your organization already probably has a relationship with that other agent. So you're kind of help bring them in together. So that's a little unique, I would say, to where that's more common. Whereas in a big market, that would be more rare. If you're reaching out to agents, most likely they're going to be a person that you can just bring in, recruit yourself. But here it's like, well, hey, Chris, I already know this person. And then you're like, oh, that person I actually sponsored. Let's all have a conversation.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And you have some great leaders there. I mean, Marla and Tara, like these are mega producers. And I know there's a lot of other great ones, but I mean, these are all between the three of you. I mean, you're selling like 150 homes a year as individual agents. So
the problem with my team is that everybody's selling more houses than they ever have. That's
true.
I'm the most active in attraction, which is a good problem to have, I guess. But like the reason why I want to launch Game Changers local in our province is for a couple of reasons. And the reason why I've set my team up the way that I have, which is depth first and width afterwards, is for retention and culture. And same thing for Game Changers local. Now, for those listening that are sort of all over the world and all over the US, what do I care about Game Changers Saskatchewan? I've never been there, never heard of it, probably never will talk to an agent there. But the reason why it's important is because a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to show how duplicatable this is. Number two, I want to set the example that this can and will and does happen literally anywhere. And my intention for building my team is to, no matter what market you're in, I want to help you get from 0 to 5 frontline, 0 to 25 group, so that you can launch your own chapter, so that I can have as many chapters in my organization that are duplicating, that know what's the quickest, easiest, best way to get from 0 to 1. Because, and you've said this multiple times before, AJ, that like your first 100 is the most difficult, but I'll say your first 25 or your first 5 is even more so, because it's always more difficult to go from 0 to 1 as it is to go from 1 to 2. It's easier to double than it is to whittle the sticks together and build that fire in the first place. And then when you're busy selling houses, try to make sure that fire doesn't go out.
Yeah. What's cool with like, Game Changers Saskatchewan is like most people, they'll never have an agent there, but there's some people that will be watching this that eventually will have an agent there. Like I would have never imagined that I would have agents in 6-7 countries now, or whatever it is, countries I've never even been to. So it's likely that there will be agents who have agents joining in your market, and they can plug into that, which is pretty cool. And just to be able to say, hey, like we have this Game Changers local organization, GCC, the Game Changers Council, to show the overall vision and to show that's an international vision to a potential recruit, and not just a vision, it's a vision that's already being played out. That helps just kind of paint the picture that we're going everywhere. Like we're going into Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, places I can't even say properly. Like this is going everywhere. So let's kind of pivot to the new class that we have that you're leading, which is amazing. Really grateful for you doing that. The Scripts class around RevShare. Talk a little bit about what you've been doing over the last few months, how this came about, and how it's kind of changed your attraction efforts.
Yeah, so as I mentioned with my approach to for sale by owners, it took me a long time until I finally caught on. And it seems to have been the same thing now with attraction, which is the self-analysis. The thing that I've realized about myself is that there's a skill development period in there where all of a sudden things click. And I'm literally on the verge of a breakthrough now with attraction, which I'm super excited about. And I found out what seems to work. So I'll give you the real quick, connecting with realtors on social media. I hate to say this, but realtors are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. So don't give me the excuse you don't know enough realtors. We are everywhere. So connect with realtors first on social media. I recommend doing this versus cold calling so that it's more of a warm call. You've developed some rapport ahead of time. Constantly be building your list through social media. And then I was trying to book the appointment from Messenger, which I found was low conversion. And or I was trying to book one-on-ones by Zoom to build rapport first, which was a huge waste of time. So what I end up doing is build rapport quickly on Messenger first, then 2 to 3 weeks later, pick up the phone. You're fresh enough in their mind. You've built rapport. It's not a cold call. They remember who you are, and then get right to the point, get to an appointment or get off the phone or plant the seed for your database. And that's literally it. And I used to jump on a Zoom call and do a slide share presentation because I found people weren't watching the video. I tried sending the video. People weren't watching the video. I tried doing the screen share. We attracted some agents, but then agents feel like that's what they need to do. So now I book the Zoom call, watch the video with them, because I want to display to the people that join my team, this is how easy this can be. All you need to do is book a call, watch the video with them. Even if you don't know answers to their questions after that call, all you need to say is, if I can find some time in AJ's calendar for him to answer those questions for you, would you be open enough to hop on another call and get your questions answered? And that's literally how quick and simple and easy it can be. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out, but then from there, it's the skill of setting that appointment and the courage of picking up the phone.
Yeah, that's so good. And this is kind of, this is, like you said, it works for anybody. And it's the same thing with real estate sales. It's the same systems can work for anybody in any market. So there's no secret to building in a small market. It's just the secret is doing the work and treating it like a professional. You're role playing, you have your language, you've trialed different things, and you've come upon what you know to work now, which is watch the video with them. And you said a key thing that I want everyone to pick up on. What Chris is doing is duplicatable. He's not trying to present the whole model himself. He's conscious that he needs to, what he's doing, the people that he's trying to recruit are watching what he's doing. And if they think they can't do it, they won't join. They won't be excited about revenue share if they can't do it themselves. And revenue share is obviously a big part of eXp and what a lot of agents get excited about. So he's thinking, well, if I just simply do a screen share, hit play on the model explained, have them watch it with me, then get them on a three-way call, which is the model, peak, present, and pass. Everyone can do it. And they see that. They're like, wow, what Chris just did, I can do that. So that's cool. I'm glad you touched on that. So you've been role playing now pretty consistently, I think, for a few months now. How has that changed? Maybe your confidence, your conversions? What can you speak to that?
I'm glad you said confidence, AJ, because as I'd mentioned, my talents are persistence, courage, ambition, and teachability. Confidence and belief is not one of those, but I will say that, the whole idea that anybody can do this. My dad lives in a mobile home and my mom's been on welfare for almost my entire life. So developing belief comes with repetition, which is what role play is and why I say anybody can do this. And I share that with you because I believe anybody can do this if you find enough reasons why. And I know you've said this before, AJ, but it's developing the courage, but then developing the skill to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's practicing. Okay, here's what I will say. Practicing on the public can get you there, but you're not going to get feedback. So you might get stuck in a rut of doing the same wrong things and then give up. Practicing person to person is not a perfect improv situation. So you should do both. But practicing with a partner, you're going to get feedback and you're also, it doesn't cost you. Like people are afraid to call the people that they know because they don't want to screw it up. But if you practice, then it's not costing you that potential relationship, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I think Mike Ferry used to always call that malpractice. When you're practicing on the public, it's malpractice. And it's good to get that live feedback. You got to do it eventually, but you should also warm up with script practice before you show up to the game.
Yeah. And being honest with yourself, as a successful realtor, I forgot what it was that made me successful. And it's almost like this ego that I had to get over the fact that I'm not good at agent attraction yet. I'm still a baby in this.
Yeah.
Even now, I kind of feel like, AJ, you're interviewing me this, and I've got this organization. It's like, but rather than waiting 12 months until I'm, a bigger success story, it's like, why not bring everybody with me? I know there's a lot of people listening right now that are like, how do I get from 0 to 25?
Yeah.
Because once I can get to 25, I can get to 50, I can get to 100, I can get to 200.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. It's the majority of people in Game Changers Nation, they're just trying to get to 25. Like they're just trying to get to 5. Like, and it's so good to consider when you get to 25, you'll get to 50. And if you got to 50, you can get to 500. And if you got to 500, you can get to 5,000. And it's interesting how people just think that they'll naturally be good at attraction. And certainly some people are better naturally at attraction than others. However, it's new for everybody that starts attracting agents. And a lot of times I feel like with some of the big producers, top producers, team leaders, they're afraid of starting over. They're afraid of sucking initially. And you got to suck when you try something new. You got to get through the suck. I love the Navy SEAL term, embrace the suck. And you it sounds like you took a step back and had to think, well, I'm a master at calling FSBOs, prospecting for real estate, but I'm a baby agent attractor. I got to start building that foundation. So you got role play partners, you're role playing, and then you kind of were open to teaching others, and we kind of got together and we're like, hey, let's just start a Friday class at 2 p.m. Eastern. And what do you see that looking like? I know initially, until we get people regularly attending it, there won't be as much live role playing, which I think would be amazing if people get on there and actually role play live and are afraid to fail a little bit. But what do you envision that looking like moving forward?
Yeah, so we're actually doing a launch call for that literally right after this call. So anybody that's saying, hey, I want to pick up my skills with agent attraction, definitely tune into that. And part of what inspired me to do it was that there's a handful of realtors that I've started role playing with, and I've been teaching them what's working for me. And in many cases, some of these realtors already have a huge arsenal of skills. They're just tweaking their approach slightly. All of a sudden went from them not approaching it in such a way that would get them to results, to the point where now they're like absolutely lit up, excited, grateful for me helping them. I'm like, well, why don't I share this with the entire group? Because I'm grateful for AJ sharing this opportunity with me. So we can all win together. And so I'm going to teach what I know, but I want to encourage those that are leaders that are doing well with this already to chime in, or maybe even join the calls to say, this is what I'm saying in that spot of that seems to be working. And then anybody that's wanting to get involved, to join on Zoom and to role play live together, what to say and how it looks. But also bring to the call or comment, what are the objections that you're getting, so that we can sort of handle those and cover those together. And if we collaborate, then here's 10 different ways to answer that objection, what fits best for you, etc.
Yeah, that's so good. And I appreciate you doing it. Role playing is one of the hard things in real estate sales. Same thing with agent attraction. Agents are uncertain about it. Agents are afraid to do it. So what's crazy is it's the number one skill you need to learn in order to be a top salesperson, a top attractor. So what you're offering to Game Changers Nation through this class is amazing. And the people who take on the challenge to show up to it consistently, to participate, are going to get the biggest rewards, because it's the number one skill that you need. Most shy away from it. So it's going to be really fun to see the people who really engage right from the bat and right off the bat and just crush it with it. Just watching you and Tom, Chris, I know you and Tom, he's been one of your big role play partners, Tom Hale, over the last couple of months. Like both of you guys, what I've noticed, because I'm obviously not on the calls with you guys when you're prospecting, but what I noticed, because we have a small inner group where we're tracking numbers, you guys every week now are at the top for contacts. So you guys are reaching out to the most people. You guys are getting great conversions, people agreeing to watch the video, people are watching the video, and you're sponsoring agents. But the thing that I care about the most is how many people are you actually reaching out to? Because initially, that's the only thing you can control. You can't control how many people are going to agree to watch it. You can't control how many are going to watch it. And you certainly can't control how many people are going to sign up. So the only thing that you can control are how many outbound contacts are you going to make? Just like real estate sales. That's the only thing you can control there. Like, it's a direct correlation. And you guys are leading from the front. And it really picked up when you guys started role playing. And I think that a lot of that's just because you're in the energy. An object in motion stays in motion. So you're already doing it. And the confidence, you're more confident to pick up the phone. That's my perception, at least from the outside. So you guys are doing really good with it. I'm proud of you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. And I want to add one really quick thing to that is that the better you get at something, the more you want to do it. That's one. And then I want to answer an objection that I know some people already have. I'm not a script person. So a couple things. You want the scripts to be embedded in your subconscious so that it rolls off your tongue so that it doesn't sound like a script, which takes practice. And if you say that you're not a script person, you probably have a script that you follow. The question is, how well is it working for you?
Exactly.
So some people are naturally good. Some people genuinely are. So then sometimes it's just a matter of recording what it is they're doing and breaking it down and going backwards on it. So.
Yeah. Even though people are naturally good at it, I think it's because they had a script at some point in their lives, whether or not they're conscious about it, but they started saying something in a different career, different sales path that they were on. And by having that script that they either developed or learned from somebody else, it carried over into their language now. Like you and I both, because we've done it in sales and we're doing it in attraction, we can come up with scripts off the top of our head. And then we're like, ooh, that sounds good. So we keep using it. If people are starting from scratch, they need a script to follow. And it, like you said, Chris, it just embeds in your subconscious. It becomes your own language. And then it's just something to build from. It's really just having a conversation. I remember so vividly, it was probably one of the biggest takeaways I had from a Keller Williams event I went to. And I was already practicing scripts, but it was good to help lead my people at the time when I had my sales team. Gary Keller from the front of the stage to 10,000 agents was like, Gary Keller is so funny. What he's done for the industry is great. I enjoyed my time at Keller Williams, so this isn't a hit at Gary Keller, but he points to everybody and he's like, you all have a script. Your script just sucks. And his point was, you said it very kindly, but his point was everybody's using a script in their sales dialogues. It's just a matter of not, is it one that's proven to work or does theirs potentially suck? And for most people, what they're doing is probably working okay. But what we want to do is take what they're doing, if they're doing something, and take it to the next level, or just get people who are afraid to make the call because they don't know what to say to making the call. So to wrap it up, calls at 2:00 today, 2:00 Eastern. This is the beta launch. So we'll see how it goes today. And then moving forward, get your team members involved, invite them to the calls, hold them accountable to being there, because this is the most needed class that we've had a need for in Game Changers. And I'm really excited for it. So I appreciate you again, Chris, doing it. Any last words of advice, and we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, if your skills are well, feel free to contribute. Bring your agents to the call. Look forward to seeing you there. And thanks for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. It was a pleasure having you, and we'll see you guys later.
You bet.